Welcome to Tech Talks. Our platform edition today is focused on search basics in Splunk, one of the most important learning topics for new users getting started with Splunk. Tech Talks are a series of short webinars focused on features and best practices within use cases. We value you, our customer, and want you to continue your Splunk journey. Our experts help create these tips and tricks, and we want you to leverage them in your daily role. Hi, I'm Judy Silverberg, and I work on the product marketing team focusing on Splunk Enterprise. I'm excited to share with you information about getting data into Splunk and introduce my colleague, Shane Evans.
Hi, I'm Shane Evans, and I'm the product manager for all things search related here at Splunk.
Today, we're going to talk about the power of Splunk search. We're going to go over an introduction to search, SPL and pivots, what you can do with your search results, including reports, alerts, dashboards, and visualizations, do a quick demo, and share additional resources for getting started. The next wave of data challenges aren't going to resemble the ones we faced in the past, and neither are the technologies we'll all need to face them. At Splunk, we are constantly evolving our technologies to prepare for this changing landscape. We've used our size and scale to build new products in-house, buy new capabilities we know our customers will need via acquisition, and invest in an ecosystem of emerging data technology. Over the past few years, we've expanded our platform capabilities at a rapid pace. The scalable index that sits at our core has continued to anchor our platform, and we've been focused on making it easier to get data into that index. We've also launched a set of streaming capabilities with data streaming processor, bolstered by in-house development and acquisitions to allow customers to analyze and pushing streaming data both to Splunk and non-Splunk sources. Our bias for action means continued investment in automation and AI, bringing capabilities from acquisitions like Phantom to our entire portfolio. Our in-house development of Splunk Mobile and connected experiences, and offering machine learning functionality to all kinds of organizations. Today, we're going to focus on what is possible with Splunk Cloud and Enterprise capabilities to turn your raw data into action quickly. Splunk's powerful search capabilities allow you to search and investigate your data to find the needle in the haystack. We often call this Schema on the fly. With Schema on the fly, you can search any data source regardless of its structure, and add structure as you go. You can visualize relationships within your data to easily spot outliers, add visualizations to dashboards, and create ad hoc alerts when you discover new issues or threats. Let's take a look at what this looks like in Splunk. Here you can see the Splunk Search and Reporting app where a user has written a query using Splunk's search processing language, SPL. The user can immediately visualize the results of their search as a list of each event, see patterns in statistics, and best of all, visualize those events over. There are a few key components and tools of search. The Search Assistant provides the drop-down suggestions for how to complete your search strings. If you mouse over a command, more information about the command will be shown. Plus, you can choose different modes of Search Assistant depending on your level and preferences that provide more or less details. Selecting a time range is a crucial step in your search process and can impact search speed. You can select a time range from a choice of preset options or create a custom range. Another useful time feature is the timeline displayed above the search results that show the distribution of events and can be used to identify outliers. Every search is also a job, and search jobs can be saved. While all search jobs are by default automatically saved for 10 minutes, you can extend the lifetime, and to keep your search results longer, you can schedule a report. These jobs can also be shared, which save time and allow multiple users working on the same issues to see the same data. Fields are very useful for extracting insights from your data. They are searchable key value pairs in your event data, and Splunk automatically discovers many fields. The field sidebar categorizes the data into selected, interesting, and all fields for easy evaluation. There are 3 search modes you can choose from depending on your priorities. The modes optimize your search performance by controlling the amount or type of data that the search returns. Fast mode speeds up searches by limiting the types of data returned by the search. Verbose mode returns as much event information as possible, sometimes at the expense of slower search performance. Smart mode, the default setting, toggles search behavior based on whether your search contains transforming commands. For transforming searches, it behaves like fast mode. For searches without transforming commands, it behaves like verbose. Splunk's search language SPL is made up of 5 basic syntax components. Search terms, these clarify what you are looking for. They include keywords, phrases, booleans, and more. Commands, which identify what you want to do with the results. For example, do you want to create a chart, compute statistics, or evaluate and format? Functions, specify how you want to chart, compute, or evaluate the results. This includes get a sum, get an average, or transform the values. Arguments, identify any variables you want to apply to this function. Do you want to calculate average value for a specific field or convert milliseconds to seconds? Clauses, these help to group or rename the fields in the results. There are some search best practices to always keep in mind to have the best search experience. Time is the most efficient filter. Specify 1 or more index values at the beginning of your search string. Include as many search terms as possible and make your search terms as specific as possible. For example, searching access denied is better than searching for denied. Inclusion is generally better than exclusion, meaning searching or access denied is faster than searching for not access granted. Filter as early as possible. For example, first remove duplicate events, then sort. Avoid using wildcards at the beginning or middle of a string, as wildcards at the beginning of a string scan all events within the time frame, and wildcards in the middle may return inconsistent results. When possible, use OR instead of wild.
A data model is a type of knowledge object that applies an information structure to raw data, making it easier to use and more performant. Each data model represents a category of event data and are composed of data model datasets. It encodes the domain knowledge necessary to build a variety of specialized searches from those datasets. These specialized searches are used by Splunk software to generate reports for pivot users. Pivots are tables, charts, or visualizations based on a data model dataset. You create pivots with the pivot editor, which doesn't require SPL. After you create a pivot, you can save it as a report or dashboard panel. How do pivots work, you might ask? It uses data models to define the broad category of event data that you're working with, and then uses a hierarchically arranged collection of data model datasets to further subdivide the original dataset and define the fields that you want the pivot to return results on. Data models and their datasets are also used or designed by the knowledge managers in your organization. They do a lot of work for you to enable you to quickly focus on a specific subset of event data. We also mentioned the ability to save searches as dashboards. Let's look at the types of visualizations that can be saved as dashboards and shared with different audiences, such as sales, marketing, or IT. What you can see here are multiple different searches saved as interactive panels of a larger dashboard that has been tailored to an executive audience. There are many options for turning your search results into action. A report is a type of save search. When you create a search or pivot that you want to use later, save it as a report. You can run the report again by locating the report on the report listings page and by clicking its name. You can schedule reports on a regular interval, and you can configure them to perform actions each time they run, such as emailing the report results to a set of project stakeholders. An alert is a type of saved search that runs in real time or on a scheduled interval and are triggered when they return the results that meet user-defined conditions. When an alert is triggered, it can initialize one or more alert actions, such as triggering a webhook or outputting the results to a CSV lookup. Dashboards have one or more visualization panels. A dashboard that includes user input is known as a form. You can build dashboards when saving a search or visualization or using the dashboard editor. Visualizations are visual representations of search results from inline searches, pivots, or reports. There are many Splunk platform visualization options, including tables, line and area charts, chloropleth maps, and single value visualizations, and these can be customized by editing the simple XML source code. But why talk about it when we can show you what it looks like to get started with Splunk Search?
Okay, so for today's demo, my boss here at Buttercup Games wants to see a report showing 3 areas of interest for our company: sales or revenue by game, marketing or the conversion rates for each of those titles, and then the top errors by page, which is going to go to IT. To do this, we're going to build her a dashboard showing all 3 areas where she can quickly search and filter by time. First, let's look at revenue. Now, assuming I don't have a lot of information about the data that I've been given, I'm just going to enter a search term here of 200, which is the success for HTTP web requests. And I get a whole bunch of results back. So I can look through each of those events. I can see that, yes, this looks like what I'm looking for, but I might need to narrow things down a little further. So I see there's a bunch of interesting fields here, and just for my purposes, I'm going to add those to my selected fields. Now the action, I'm going to be interested in one or more of these going forward. I can see my price, which is going to be important for calculating the total revenue. Product ID, which is a little bit hard to read, so I've actually asked my a Splunk admin to create an automatic lookup to map these over to the product names, which will show up as product name. Little easier to work with. And then the status, which I entered, there's status 200, but I can see from this that it's not 100% of my events showing status 200. I've got a bunch of other status codes here that I don't want, so I'm going to need to filter by this a little further. And lastly, I'm going to add the URI path or the page that was returned so that we can show error statistics later. So as I said, I'm going to filter by action here down to 200, which should show me a few fewer events. Nope, sorry, status equals 200. And my initial search returned something like 103,800 events. So in this case, yes, I do get fewer events, 102,000. And if I look at the status field again, I can see, yes, this is 100% of my results. So I'm getting there. Next, I want to do an action. In this case, we want to look at the action equals purchase, which is going to show me which titles were purchased and a bunch of other information, but this is what I'm looking for. And yes, I see that there's 15,000 events, so I'm narrowing down that number of events even further with each term that I add. Now I'm going to start to work with the data that's returned by adding the chart command here. Now I want to do a chart of a sum of the price, if I could type. We're going to rename that as total. And then we want to categorize that by the field product name. Oops. Field names are case sensitive, values are not, unless you expressly indicate that they should be. And here I see each of the titles and the total revenue for each for the given time frame. Now my manager did ask for a specific time frame, so just to double check that this works properly, I'm going to filter in on that here, not using one of the presets, but a date range of between, and I think it was August 16th through to, oops, not June, but August, through to August 23rd, right, Sunday to Sunday for the given week. And I should see lower totals here, and yes, that's working great. So then I'm going to rename one of the fields here to make it a little more friendly. So I'm going to rename product name as product name. And then I'm going to sort this using the sort command. And I'm going to sort on total in descending order, which shows me all of the titles sorted by revenue in descending order. Now I want this as a visualization for the dashboard, so I'm going to click on visualization. Splunk automatically recommended, in this case, the pie chart, which shows me very, very nicely each of those titles, which ones are performing well and which ones need a little more attention. Now we save this as a report. This will be revenue by title. I'm going to include the pie chart and the statistics. And we're going to retain the time range checker there. Before I go on to the next one, I'm going to create a dashboard here because we're going to need one, called the manager's dashboard. I can provide a description. I'm going to just have a title for the panel itself, which can be overridden here, or I can just add the same one. And I'm going to add it not as an inline search, which is performed each time the dashboard is visited, but to a report, so that I can later accelerate this report and give much faster results on demand. And for the dashboard panel, I'm only going to look at the pie chart. So I save that, and then I can look at the dashboard, which I can see is coming together exactly as we would like. Next, let's take a look at conversion rates. So I'm going to use some of the same data here. I'm going to use the same data set, but some of the same filters. So again, I'm looking at status 200, but I'm not going to filter it any further because I'm going to use some of those fields as data within our chart. So in this case, I'm adding another chart using the total count of successful requests, the 200 requests, and we're going to look at those as views. Those are page views. And next, we're going to add a count of a field. So we're going to have to evaluate a field. And we're going to go action equals add to cart. Oops. And then when I add parentheses, you can see that the search SPL editor adds the equivalent parentheses to the other side, so I know that I'm in the right place. We're going to rename this as add to cart. And then we're going to add a count of another field to evaluate, which is action, same field, but different value. So action equals purchase. As purchases. And as I'm typing here, you can see both the sort of autocomplete showing me here's the commands that you've run in the past, or some matching searches or search filters that are recommended, as well as the usage for each of the commands. So I'm reminded of how to use the command as I'm typing. In this case, I'm going to rename as purchases, and let's have a look at the results. Great. Except that we need the product name back in there again. So we're going to go by product name. And then I can see a breakdown of each of the product names, the number of times those products were viewed, added to cart, and purchased, which shows me kind of a rough estimate on the conversion rate. So maybe someone visited the page, they looked at the title, but they weren't interested. So they either didn't add it to cart, or they did and they changed their mind and they didn't purchase. And so before I finish here, I need to rename some of these fields. I'm going to rename views as views, comma, add to cart as adds to cart, and purchases as purchased. Great, so that's starting to look a little bit friendlier. Oh, and I forgot to rename product name. And then product name as product name. Perfect. Now in this case, we're just going to do a visualization, not in the same format as the revenue, but in this case I want to look at a bar chart, which shows me each of the titles and their relative page views, adds to cart, and purchase. You can save this one as a report again. We'll go to this one, conversions by title. And we're going to save, again, the chart and statistics and retain the checker. And this time we're not going to add a new dashboard, but we're going to save to an existing one. So we can see our net manager's dashboard in the drop-down list. And then we can say, all right, title. Save it as a panel powered by report, I should say. And hit save. Take a quick look at the dashboard again. And we see the two reports are added to that dashboard, just as we'd hoped. Lastly, we're going to look at error statistics. So in this case, we're going to look at all of the messages, but in this case, the status isn't going to be 200, where successful pages. We want statuses that are not 200. So we can, again, look at the statuses that are greater than 200, or greater than or equal to a number, or less than or equal to. In this case, I want to look at all statuses which are not equal to 200, which is the exclamation equals 200. And we're going to use the stats command, which is a powerful way to perform statistical analysis on any one of these fields. So we're going to go with a stats, sum of the status, oops, as errors by, if you remember, I added the URI path to show the page there. So I'm going to go by URI path. And I can see very quickly the page and the errors that occurred for each. Now I might want to sort this, but first let's rename some of the fields. So rename URI path as page, errors as errors, and then we're going to sort this one as well. So sort by errors descending. Oops, made a mistake there somewhere. Oops, multiple parentheses as indicated by the error message. So now I can see which of my pages is showing the most errors. In this case, it's our shopping cart. And then we can have somebody in IT go and investigate those. I can click on this and it will drill down further into those errors to show me exactly the errors that are occurring for that page. So we're going to save this to our dashboard. First as a report, page errors, or call it top page errors. We're going to save it, add it to a dashboard, existing, and again, as a report, no other action needed. Oh, just page or top page errors, and then save. And finally, we're going to look at our completed dashboard, which is going to show all three of those areas of interest for my manager, which is going to make her very happy. Now back to the demo, or sorry, now back to the slides.
Now that we've seen how to use Splunk Search, you can try it out with Splunk Enterprise. Please also check out the Splunk docs for step-by-step details to guide you through getting started. Now I'll hand things back over to Judith to talk you through how to engage with the Splunk community.
Thanks, Shane. As I mentioned before, whether you're joining us live today or watching this at a later date, please continue the conversation with us on our Splunk community website. You can search the answer section on search and reporting. You can continue the conversation for this talk within the discussion section called Tech Talks. And finally, there's Splunk Ideas, where you can submit new product enhancements or vote for current ideas from other customers. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to join us today. Please tune back in for future Tech Talks. We are excited to share this series with you.